EIGRP named configuration. In this video, I am going to show you how you can configure EIGRP with the second method, the named configuration. Actually, this scenario is same as the previous scenario that we did it with the EIGRP classic configuration, but now I want to show you the named configuration. This is our notepad file for this scenario. Step 1, draw the topology in EVNG. I did it. And step 2, interface IP address assignment and no shutdown command in router 1, router 2, and router 3. Again, this step also completed before. And step 3, check routing tables in R1, R2, and R3. You know that here now we have only a static and also the connected and also local networks. Show IP route, it can show us in R1 we have connected and local networks, and also in the router 2 show IP route, again we have connected and local networks, and in the router 3 show IP route can show us again we have connected and local networks. Also, if you want, you can check show IP protocols. Here you can see we don't have EIGRP as the routing protocol, show IP protocol, and finally in the router 3 show IP protocol. All right, now step 4, configure EIGRP or name the EIGRP in router 1, router 2, and router 3. This is the syntax of configuration. Router EIGRP a name, and then router config router, address family IPv4 unicast autonomous system, then AS number, and finally we should use again under the address family mode network interface IP wildcard mask. Let me to show you the configuration of the EIGRP in named mode. In router 1, configure terminal, router EIGRP in name, for example lab, address family IPv4 unicast autonomous system number, and then AS number, for example 1. Here again you need to use network quad 1, quad 0, okay, and network, for example, the next interface is 10.1.2.1 quad 0. That's it. This is the configuration of EIGRP in router 1. And then in the router 2, configure terminal, router EIGRP lab. You know that the name of EIGRP can be different in different routers. Here we don't have any, for example, mandatory rule that all of the EIGRP names should be same. Here you can use different names, but in next line, address family IPv4 unicast autonomous system number, here you need to use the same actually AS number. And after that, the next network command 10.1.2.2 quad 0, okay, we will have neighborship. And after that, network 10.2.3.2 again quad 0. This is the configuration of the router 2. In the router 3, again configure terminal, router EIGRP lab, for example, and then here address family IPv4 unicast, and then autonomous system number 1, network 10.2.3.3 quad 0. And then in the router 3 we have also loopback interface, network quad 3 quad 0. That's it. This is the configuration of R1, R2, and R3. Let me to show you that we have connectivity. Here in the next step, in the step 5, we should check the routing table in R1, R2, and R3 and connectivity between the R1 and R3, for example, between loopbacks of them. In router 1, show IP route, EIGRP can show us that we learn the quad 3/32 and also 10.2.3/0/24, these two network in the router 1 from EIGRP. In the router 2, show IP route, EIGRP can show us we have two network learned from the EIGRP. In the router 3, show IP route, EIGRP, again it shows us that we have quad 1/32 and 10.1.2.0/24 from the router 1 and also from the router 2 also. Let me to show you the connectivity ping, and then quad 3 with the source of loopback 0 and in the router 1. As you can see, we have connectivity, or trace route quad 3 with the source of loopback 0. As you can see, we have the past router 2 and router 3. That's it. Next step is check the neighborship between R1, R2, and R3. Here I want to inform you about one important notation. Show IP EIGRP interface is a command that you can use it for verifying EIGRP is enabled on which interfaces. Also, you can use this command, show EIGRP address family IPv4 interface. These two commands exactly are same, but the second command is newer than the previous command. Or instead of show IP EIGRP neighbors, you can use show EIGRP address family IPv4 neighbors. Instead of show IP EIGRP topology, you can use show EIGRP address family IPv4 topology. Let me to show you. Here in the router 1, show IP EIGRP interface show us that the EIGRP is enabled on the serial 10 and loopback 0. And also I can use show EIGRP address family IPv4 and then interface. Exactly the same result as you can see. Okay, in the route also here, show IP EIGRP neighbors show us the neighborship table, and show EIGRP IPv4 or show EIGRP address family IPv4 neighbors can show us exactly the same result. Both of them are same. Okay, also in router 2, show, let me to use the newer method, show EIGRP address family IPv4, then interfaces, and show EIGRP address family IPv4, for example, neighbors. Okay, we have two neighbors in router 2, router 1 and router 3. And finally, in the router 3, show EIGRP address family IPv4 neighbors. We have one neighbor, and show EIGRP address family IPv4 for example, interfaces. As you can see, EIGRP was enabled on the serial 10 and loopback 0. Also here, as you can see, in the step 7, we should check the topology table in R1, in R2, and R3. In R1 first, show EIGRP address family IPv4 topology. This is our topology table. Here we have path for all networks in this scenario, and also in the router 2, show EIGRP IPv4 unicast or address family IPv4 unicast or neighbors. Okay, and also topology. This is the topology. And because of that, now we can configure EIGRP with named method, and also we can monitor EIGRP with the, for example, newer commands. And also in the router 1, again, I want to show you the show IP protocols. Here you can see routing protocol is EIGRP1, and here you can see that EIGRP with the, actually this is the EIGRP name configured on this router. This is the EIGRP named configuration.